When trout turn picky and nothing seems to work, there's one pattern that flips a switch. It's bright, it's bold, and it's a Stillwater slayer. We're talking about the Blob Fly. Let's break this down in this episode and why it has earned such a killer reputation in Stillwater and how you can use it to your advantage right now in this episode of the Stillwater Edge Podcast.
Welcome to Stillwater Edge, the ultimate podcast for Stillwater fly fishing enthusiasts. I'm your host, Greg Keenan, and in each short, action-packed episode, I'll share expert tips, essential techniques, and clever tricks to help you elevate your Stillwater fly fishing game to the next level.
All right, welcome back to the Stillwater Edge Podcast. I am your host, Greg Keenan. Today we're going to talk about really a cool fly, one of my favorite flies. I wish I fished it earlier in my career, teaching people to fish and stuff like that. I just didn't do that, and I wish I did. It's on me. But I'm here to cut your learning curve in half, so let's do that right now. And what is a blob? Blobs. We're talking about blob flies and why they're so controversial and deadly in still waters, because they truly are. So I'm going to say this right now. If you're watching this episode and you do not have blobs in your fly box, please do me a favor. If you do me any favor, actually do me two favors. One is to go to the Stillwater Edge Podcast or the stillwateredge.com and check out all my free resources. But more importantly, number two is to add blobs to your Stillwater fly inventory. All colors that you can think of for blobs. That's how deadly they are. What is a blob? A blob is essentially a bright egg-like pattern, a fly pattern. It originated in the UK in competition lakes designed to provoke reaction bites, and is tied with fritz or blob chenille in fluorescent colors such as orange, chartreuse, pink, or a combination of all those. They are highly effective. Okay, so they're not natural. Like that fly, if I saw something chartreuse swimming around in the lake, I'd be a little bit worried. So they're not natural. But why do they work so well? And why have our Stillwater anglers and competition anglers and everyone like that so fascinated with blobs, right? Well, they don't imitate anything like I mentioned earlier, but they're more of a trigger, right? So they're a trigger that fish really can ignore, and it's the profile of what it is. So when trout key in on Daphnia, these blobs are the closest thing that we can tie to mimic that Daphnia. So we have an attractor pattern, plus we have a pattern that trout are actually feeding on, like the Daphnia, that is as close as we can do. That is why it so produces. That's why it fails safe and it produces. It often produces when natural patterns fail in lakes because the trout are feeding on Daphnia. So this fly kills it, absolutely kills it. So. All right, so now we know what it is, what it's made of, and where it came from. Let's talk about how to fish it, because it's really important. So when would you fish a blob, right? A blob is going to be fished during a turnover, poor clarity, when lakes are not producing. There's no active hatch. The lake seems kind of shut down. Those are key times that you would want to, at least try it or fish that. But I found seasonally that blobs do really well in cold water. I found seasonally that blobs do really well as well in hot water, like in the summer times, right? And I find that you're going to want to fish it in those times when there's no active hatches, right? Like we need to try and trigger a fish. And this is both, like I said, that attractor pattern, and it's a natural food source, or it looks like a natural food source for the trout, a safe, comfortable Daphnia. Daphnia doesn't bite back. It doesn't do anything. It's easy to ingest for a trout. So this is why we want to fish it. This is when we want to fish it. So how to fish it is really key. So how to fish it is really key because this is a fly that's pretty versatile. I'm going to give you 3 ways to fish it. 3 ways I love fishing it. Number 1, my favorite way, without a doubt, has got to be the indicator. I love fishing a blob on an indicator. Nothing makes me happier than watching that indicator go under. And it's like a slower under. And again, what I've experienced is that it's a slower under. And it's really cool. That's because it's being sucked in, right? The trout is literally sucking that fly in. It's not like a chronomid with a hard pull or something. It's really cool. Blob takes are fun. So that is my favorite way to do that. Another way you can do it, which is really cool, is the sinking line. Sinking line, cast out, let it fall on the bottom, and then just pull it back, pin strip, slow hand turns, whatever you want to do, as long as you're giving that action and pulling it. That, again, you're adding animation to that fly, which is essentially going to trigger a bite. I guarantee it. So, and lastly, another highly effective way to do it, and I did this at Corbett Lake one year in the winter, or in the late fall, and it just slayed, and that was the dangle. A blob off the dangle is just a slayer. It is a stillwater slayer, particularly in the spring. In the springtime, it's a slayer, and it's also a slayer in the fall. And those are key times that you can do that off the dangle, and you're gonna have a lot of fun. That rod is gonna go right under the boat. So couple key points that I want to point out when fishing a blob, because there's a few things that should be noted here. So when I fish a blob off the indicator, I go for a blob that has a bead head. I like that bead head adds a weight. It's going to keep my fly steers at the bottom. It's going to keep my fly down, as opposed to an unweighted, which could, pull it out of the zone, put it in the zone, pull it out of the zone, put it in, just with the natural current and the waves and everything of the lake and what's happening below. However, I also will use an unweighted oftentimes when I'm casting and stripping, right? So an unweighted, no bead head, casting and stripping to give my fly more animation and action and all that sort of stuff during that retrieve. And for the, for the dangle, 90% of the time use the bead headed one. However, you can do both. There's no right or wrong in that. It's not such a short leader that you're doing to do that. And again, I've covered the dangle in other episodes of the Stillwater Edge podcast. Definitely go back, check it out. Mastering the Dangle, I think it was called. So that's great for that. So those are some key points when you want to fish that blob. So when you're loading your box with blob flies, my last key point here is have a mixture of both. Right? Don't be shy and have a solid core collection of blob flies. They're cheap, they're easy, and they get beat up pretty good too, right? So the fish can inhale them pretty good. So oftentimes you might have to cut the leader because you're just going to hurt the fish getting it out. So make sure that those hooks, a lot of the blobs now are tied on barbless hooks for sure. So I've noticed that trend, and good job to those tires that are doing that. Awesome. Love it. So honestly, guys, hey, that's Blob Basics, the Stillwater Slayer that turns tough days into great ones. Whether you love it or hate it, there's no denying its effectiveness, right? A lot of guys, the purists, don't like it, but you know what? It works. I'm there to fish. So I like catching fish. I like catching and blobs catch big fish. So anyway, try adding one to your next rig and see how the trout react for sure. If you want more tips and you want to check out some of my free resources, you guys know where it's at. If not, for those that are new, it is at thestillwateredge.com, and I want you guys to dive into some courses, some guides, free tools, everything like that. Tons of blogs out there. I'm really trying to push education so that you guys can become much better anglers and have it all for free. I want to give you there's a couple of paid courses on there, but that's just due to my time and my hostings and all that. But I want to make sure that you guys have the core of this stuff for free. It's a wealth of knowledge. Build your own Stillwater library and do it on the backs of myself and other people that are educated in the Stillwater space, because there's some great opportunities for you guys to get even better. As always, hey, thanks for listening to the Stillwater Edge podcast. I will see you on the water.